Okay, so there's a pretty interesting story that is out, and this story is saying that Vladimir Putin feels that Russian military has misled him. Now, full disclosure, this is a report that's coming from the United States Intelligence Committee. So, do with that what you will. Obviously, you're going to say, oh, well, it's coming from the U.S. intelligence agencies. So, obviously, it's going to be biased against Russia. And, you could say that's definitely true. But I would say, given the intelligence reports that we've gotten from the U.S. under the Biden administration, for whatever reason, it seems to have been very accurate. I remember seeing the reports about the Afghanistan bombing at the airport, that, it's imminent. And then it ended up happening the day or the day after. But also you have, Russia's going to invade. Nobody believed that, by the way. Nobody. I definitely didn't believe it. It was too crazy to believe. Russia was actually going to invade Ukraine. But, that's what they were saying, right? Russia's going to invade. Russia's going to invade Ukraine. Imminent, blah, blah. And it ended up happening. So, I think you actually have to take what the U.S. intelligence community is saying with, seriousness instead of a grain of salt. It says U.S. intelligence officials have determined that Russian President Vladimir Putin is being misinformed by his advisors about the poor performance of Kremlin troops in Ukraine, the Associated Press reported and CBS News confirmed. I think a lot of you guys are probably thinking of like Hitler and Operation Downfall. I think that's the name of the movie. I don't know if it's Downfall or Operation. Actually, I don't think it's Operation Downfall. I think that was the like Japan invasion plan, I think is the name of that. I don't know, I'm forgetting. But that's probably what you guys are thinking of. Steiner's offensive is never coming. It says a U.S. official who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss recently declassified intelligence said Wednesday the intelligence finding indicates that Putin is aware of the situation on information coming to him, and there is now persistent tension between him and senior Russian military officials, President Biden, in exchange with reporters, would not comment. So what this is saying is that Putin's military officials were reluctant or downright refused to tell him the reality of what's going on. Like, they're refusing to tell him, hey, dude, we're getting skull fucked in the ass right now. This is not going anywhere near as planned. Our tanks are in complete shit condition. Our troops suck ass. They're not they're not well trained. Some of these guys are even conscripts. They don't know what they're fighting for, so morale is low. There's way more deaths than, we had thought. Supply lines are straight garbage. There's just logistics. This is a logistical nightmare. Was there even a logistical plan? I don't know. You just got like miles upon miles of just, truck convoys. I don't know. But they were reluctant, and now it seems like Putin is realizing, like, oh shit, y'all have been lying to me. You guys have been lying to me this whole time. This ends up being one of those issues with dictators, where people just refuse to tell you the truth. This is different. This isn't the same, but like Stalin, I guess, I think he died of a stroke. And I guess he was in his room and he had told, whoever his assistant or subordinates were or whatever, don't come into my room until I come out or something like that. And he's in there fucking stroking out, pissing himself. And everyone's too scared to come in. And guess what? He dies, right? So that kind of shit bites you in the ass eventually. And so that's kind of what's going on. It says, but the administration is hopeful that divulging the finding could help prod Putin to reconsider his options in Ukraine. The war is ground to a bloody stalemate in much of the country, with heavy casualties and Russian troop morale sinking as Ukrainian forces and volunteers put up an unexpectedly strong defense. However, the publicity runs a risk of further isolating Putin, who U.S. officials have said seems at least in part driven by a desire to win back Russian prestige lost by the fall of the Soviet Union. So this has done the opposite of winning back Russian prestige. It's literally made Russia look much worse, because Russia used to be looked at as like a formidable military power, whereas now it's actually looked at as a joke. Like a literal clown show. You can see videos of what the tanks look like and what shape they're in, and like, oh, they don't have any real military commanders. They don't have any real logistical plans. They just have a lot of nukes, and you can send waves of guys, but it's not going to do anything, and tanks aren't really good at urban warfare. So, what do you really got? They just fucking suck. And so what they've done is they've really exposed themselves as like, oh shit, they're even worse than we had thought. There was like this mythical idea of like, yeah, Russia is this strong military power. It's not an economic one, but it's a strong military power. And it's like, whoa, are they actually a strong military power? It doesn't look like it. It says, in Algeria Wednesday, asked about the report that Putin felt misled by his defense ministers. Secretary of State Antony Blinken didn't directly confirm the story, but he told reporters that one of the Achilles heels of autocracies is that you don't have people in those systems who speak truth to power or lack the ability to speak truth to power. And I think that is something we're seeing in Russia. And so that is true. You get into your own delusions, and everyone's afraid to tell you the truth, obviously, because they don't want to die. They don't want to get killed. They don't want their body to be sent to their wife and see it in the mailbox in the morning. That's not what you want, right? You want to survive and you want to maintain your position. And so it becomes this, eventual circle that it ends up getting you. It ends up biting you in the ass because eventually reality is going to catch up to you. It says the unidentified official did not detail underlying evidence about how U.S. intelligence made its determination. I think that might be in relevance to the U.S. security aid being delivered to Ukraine already. It says the intelligence community has concluded that Putin was unaware that his military had been using and losing conscripts in Ukraine. Also determined he is not fully aware of the extent to which the Russian economy is being damaged by economic sanctions imposed by the U.S. and allies. And so keep in mind, once you start bringing in conscripts, conscripts are trash. Like anytime you have to bring in conscripts, you're in big trouble. These are like barely trained, either untrained or barely trained guys going into a war against like very well equipped, well intelligence equipped, etc. High morale people. You got like zero morale. Like why would a conscript in Russia want to go fight? Young people don't seem to be really, I saw a poll that was basically saying like 65 plus age is like 70 something % pro-war. And then I think both the below groups are like 38%. So the younger people who are more prone to sort of social media and such are not as vulnerable to Russian propaganda, whereas the old 65 plus are, the bread and butter of the propaganda machine of Russia. And so that's what appears to also be going down. So the findings demonstrate a, quote, clear breakdown in the flow of accurate information of Putin and show that Putin's senior advisors are afraid to tell him the truth, the official said. And so, they're also, Russia made the claim that, they're going to pull away from, Kyiv, and they're going to, pull back. And so that's supposed to be a morale booster. But I think it's more or less just, diversionary tactics, obviously. Obviously, you can't believe anything that Russia's going to say about their strategies. They're going to do whatever, misleading people is the most important strategy in war. Or one of the most important ones. And so I think they were just trying to do that. I do think that there is some truth to Kyiv is definitely going to be less of a priority now because they just can't seem to do anything. Their assault seems to have been halted, and so they can focus more on the eastern Donbass region, or maybe like Mariupol in the southern region near Crimea, which is easier access, less fortified, less western, more eastern areas that are easier to take over and overpower. So we're going to see how this ends up going and what kind of a peace ends up being brokered. Also, the question ends up becoming with Putin is how delusional is he, and how willing is he to sort of dig deep further and further into his delusion? Is he going to continue to delve further and further into his delusion, or is he going to finally come to reality and say, okay, we need to pull out? And if they do pull out, what kind of a pullout is it going to be? Is it going to be a broker deal? If I want the Donbass region and then you can have the rest of Ukraine, or is it going to be you demand neutrality? I don't really know, what I'm saying? I'm not really sure, but that's all to be found. And I guess Putin is now starting to realize, oh, fuck, you guys haven't been telling me the truth. But it's obviously they're not telling you the truth. If they were, their bodies would be in bags sent to family members, right?